What's going on, troops? Welcome back to the channel. I am Stevie, the military biker. Today I am going to be finishing off the last thing on the upgrades list, which is over there on the whiteboard. As you can see, it says front suspension, or if you can't see, it does say front suspension. What's happened is that the legends at RickRak and Pro Action have got together to produce one hell of a front end for you guys and myself. But today I am going to be installing onto the Scouse Glide, which is there. I am going to be installing these. They are performance shocks by RickRak and Pro Action. So let's get into the video. We're going to start stripping the bike down. I'm going to show you step by step of how to install these bad boys onto your M8. All right, so why, you may ask? Why am I doing this to the bike? Well, like I said in the initial intro there, this is the front end, something I've wanted to do for a while on the bike. Obviously, I've got the legends on the back, and obviously you guys know I work with RickRak on a few occasions, on many occasions actually, and they are, in my eyes, phenomenal. And when they came out with this, when they joined forces with Pro Action and came out with these bad boys, the RickRak Performance Shocks by Pro Action, I thought, let's give it a whirl. Let's stick it onto the bike. And big shout out to RickRak for obviously sending me these to install and review for you guys. But yeah, this isn't, no, it's not a full cartridge kit. It's not a full, front end swap out. It is the springs and the valve and whatnot that's inside of your front end, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, that's why I went with this, because I wanted something, as you guys know, the M8 and the 14 and up, if you like, because that's what I've got, a 21 Street Glide. The front end isn't the best, and I've noticed since putting the legends on the back how crap the front end is. So I'm hoping that this will solve my problems. So I'm going to basically show you what's inside the box and what tools we're going to need for this job, and then we're going to crack on step by step and get into stripping the front end off the Street Glide and putting these bad boys in. All right, so what's in the box that you get from the RickRak Performance Shocks? Let's have a look inside. All right, so what we've got here is your fitting instructions. All right, there is a couple of videos online as well which show you how to do this, which I'll leave a link up to here right now, Pro Action videos. But this gives you all the information that you would need to do the job, all right, including your oil set level, all right, which is written on for these springs, obviously for a 49mm front end, which will give you the millimeters, the space, but it's basically between the top of your fork and where the oil needs to be, okay, for the ride and stuff like that. That's there, which is great. We've got a couple of Pro Action stickers. Sweet, everybody loves a sticker. What else we got in the box? All right, so at the top there we've got the plastic spacers. Okay, these are going to be potentially cut down later on once we do some measurements and whatnot. These go into the forks. All right, this is your travel spaces, if you want to call them that. Obviously one for each side. Then there's going to be a nice lovely metal, very shiny washer that goes on top of the spring in a minute, which I'll show you. All right, they are in the box, and underneath those bad boys right there is the business end. Okay, so here we go. We got the spring, the heavy duty spring, and the dampening rod. Okay, these two bits of kit is exactly what's going to make the difference from the normal bog standard stock Harley-Davidson suspension on the front end of your 2014 and up M8 touring models, and these bad boys are going to do a hell of a job. So that's what you're getting there. You get the dampening rod. You do not get a washer that sits on there, okay? The plastic wear, it's like a wear indicator, if you want to call it that. I did have to go to HD and buy what is it called? A fork rebuild kit, okay? Because there's going to be bits and bobs in there that I'm going to need to do the job, which I'll show you guys later. But we've got the dampener and the spring times two, obviously, because you got two springs. So I'm going to put them back in there right now, and then we're going to get on with stripping down the bike. So that's what comes in the kit. All right, so tools wise, I'll show you the tools as I use them. I do have the HD service manual open right there, all right, which has got everything I need, torque specs, levels, etc., to do the job. So make sure before you attempt this job, all right, you've got access to one of them, because it's going to give you torque specifications, etc., for obviously the nuts and bolts on the bike that you don't want to over tighten or strip down. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so as you can see, I've took the torque pack off, I've took the seat off, and a few other bits and bobs I need to get what I need to get to where I need to get. So basically the first thing I am going to do in this video is obviously take the tank off, the fuel tank off, all right, because you want to be able to get to the fork bits and bobs in there at the top, and obviously you've got a couple of nuts that you need to get to and undo to slide the forks out. And to do that, to help with that, the best thing to do is to take the tank off. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so on my 21 Street Glide Special, obviously I have got one cable, electrical cable for whatnot here, and obviously a breather cable here. All right, you can actually pull that out if you want to, but in this case I'm just going to literally slide that out like so, and obviously that's going to go back in when we put the bike back together later on. And again with this one, all right, pinch bolt, just pull it out, jobs are good. And this one is 3/8 bolt. All right, just get it on there, take off your 3/8 bolt, and then obviously this bit, just take it out of the way. All right, you're gonna need that, so keep hold of it, take that out of the way. And then you've got these 2 bolts at the front, sorry, at the back here, which are 1/2 inch. All right, you got these 2 here. There is actually a Torx head in there if you want to use a Torx head, but I would suggest using your ratchet. Right, 1/2 inch, take that off, and that one, and then it should be just hand tight like that. And as always, keep your bolts somewhere safe. Okay, so now you can do this first before you take the nuts off, or you can do it like, no, I'm making my way from the back of the tank forward. So at this point here, you want to take off your fuel hose or your fuel line. All right, basically all you do is you would be pushing up on that like so, and then push up on the silver thing and pull down on this black one here. All right, bear in mind there's going to be a potential little bit of fuel come out, so just be careful. And she should pop out like that. All right, the little tiny bit of fuel come out, so make sure you got a rag or something underneath and just give it a dab. Happy days. And that's it on these new ones. That is simple as that. All right, so just leave that there just in case any residue comes out. And the next step is you want to take the front bolts off the tank, and then the tank will just be able to pull up and away from the bike. Okay, so if you're like me, you will have these little covers on, okay, for the front bolts, for the mountain bolts for the tank. All right, they just pull off like so, little plastic rubber grommets if you want to call them that, and obviously they protect your front end. Again, don't throw them away, keep hold of them, put them in a safe place. And again, this is a 1/2 inch bolt, okay, so I'm going to get myself a little extension, and I'm going to take these off. There's obviously one on this side and one on the other side. And once you got your bolts out, all right, this should literally just pull straight up, and you won't have any issues with, if you've got a full tank of fuel, obviously it's going to be slightly heavier. I think I've got 1/2 a tank in, so it should be really okay. Literally just pulls off straight like that, and obviously put this somewhere secure, and so it doesn't get scratched. All right, so now the tank's off. All right, easy job, take the tank off, no problem whatsoever. We obviously want to take the front wheel off and your front fender. Okay, you can do this either way. You can take the front fender off first and the wheel, and then do the tank, or like I've done, you can just where's the tank off. Easy job, easy time. Like I said, I'm working my way back to front, so I'm going to take the wheel off now. Okay, so I'm going to take these covers off down there on the hubs of the bike, and I'll show you guys exactly what you need to do to get this off. Okay, I will be securing the brakes, so you're going to need to take your brakes off, the brake drums here. Okay, they're going to need to come off on both sides. Obviously, find somewhere nice to keep them out of the way. Tie them off to your crash bars here, or whatever you need to do. And then we're going to take the rod that goes straight through the bike. We're going to take that out, and should be able to drop the wheel. We should have enough room with the bike being on the left roll dolly, high enough off the floor, so we can just release the wheel and then drop it out and take it away, and then take the front fender off from there. And then we're clear to start dismantling the forks. Alright, so these bad boys, alright, you want to take your brake caliper off, okay, which is, I'm using a 10mm spanner, alright, or wrench as you guys call it in the States. This is going to go onto here, alright, as you can see. What I will say about this is don't use your normal socket, alright, as you can see, there are lots of sort of notches out of these ones, okay, so if you can find yourself a spanner or a socket that fits perfectly like that, then get it, all right, because otherwise you're potentially going to use, if you use a normal socket with, let's say, like, you know, normal hexagon 5 shaped or octagon shaped, you know what I mean, then you're potentially going to strip this off, which is never going to be a good thing. She's out. Happy days. So I'm going to take this off. Yep. Now the reason you want to take these off is because, 2 reasons. Right, 1, it makes it easier to take the wheel out, and 2, obviously on my bike, right there is the odometer, speedometer sensor, right, which is attached to this brake, okay, so you've got to take it off, because obviously you're taking this big bolt out through the middle, and if you don't do that, you're never going to be able to get your front wheel off. And at this point, you can just slide your caliper off, like so, alright, and just let it dangle, or if you've got an old shitty COVID mask lying around, right, like I have, top tip, put it in there, and then if you want to, you can just hook it to something, alright, so it's out the way, which I will do right now. Okay, I've hooked it up, alright, she's out the way, happy days. And basically what you want to do is you want to do the same on the other side, so take both brake calipers off. Okay, so just to show you, obviously on this side right there, you'll see the main bolt that runs through with the nut on the right hand side, obviously your speedometer stroke trip thing there, which is attached to that brake. And then on this side, you will see you've got some spaces, alright. Now, I've just noticed that those spaces, whoever done, well, I know exactly where it was done. See, you can see the notches there on the bike on the right hand side. See those little notches on the space itself? They should be pointing towards the outside. So whoever put this back on did it the wrong way. Silly billies. So anyway, that's, so yeah, point to note, make sure it's on that way, all right, the other way. Make sure those notches are facing outwards. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to take off the main bolt. All right, as you can see there, we're going to take that nut off. I think it's a 24mm, whatever that is in inches, I don't know. But I'm going to use a 24mm to rip that off, and then we can start knocking the bolt through, and hopefully the tire will drop. The wheel will drop off because we're free now. Now, I did pre-crack that, all right, so that's why it come off so easy. I did pre-crack it. So you've got your nut, and then you've got a washer behind that nut there, okay, so make sure you again keep them in a safe place. So that's the bolt off, all right, you can take that off, no problem whatsoever. But then once you've done that, you can either, again, do this either way you want to do it. I've took my bolt out, but obviously on the other side there, all right, you'll have a pinch point that stops you from taking that bolt completely out, which I'll show you right now. So that is the pinch bolt, okay, so you want to loosen that off. That's literally just gone in there. Oh, there we go. So you want to take that, break it, all right, bloody little thing, and take that out, okay, just completely loosen that off, and that should be fine. Further out, that's absolutely fine. You can take it out all the way if you want, like so. Okay, now you've done that, in theory you should be able to knock this out, like so. Okay, as you can see, do not use a normal hammer. All right, I'm using a plastic hammer or a plastic mallet just to knock that through, like so, okay. At this point, you want to make sure that you are obviously holding the wheel up. So I'm going to position myself in a sec, because obviously when I pull that out, that's just going to drop. All right, so what's going to drop out, obviously you need to be careful of this, the speedometer and whatnot on here, okay, and then your spaces should, in theory, drop out the other side as well. But the wheel will literally just drop to the floor. So make sure you've got a good position, which I'm going to do now. You should be able, once you've got it free on that side, nope, just pull it out, okay, careful, and then just drop it down like that. everything should drop out. Try not to drop it, your wheel onto the rod itself, and there you go. That's that out. It does need some anti-seize grease on there and whatnot, so it's good to get this, when you take this out, clean it, check it for any damage and whatnot, any wear, and obviously when you're putting it back in, put some anti-seize on there. So yeah, happy days. Now the wheel, you see, sorry, the wheel is there, that's dropped down. You see the speedometer dropped out, the spacers dropped out. In theory, we should be able to roll the wheel out like so. On my bike, I have the Advan Black wraparound fender, okay? So it is whatever you've got on the front of your bike is whatever you need to take off, okay, fender-wise. Again, it's a 5mm with a 13mm wrench on that side for me to take this off. So whatever it is for your specific bike, again, consult your maintenance manual for that, but obviously just find an Allen key or whatever it is that fits to take these out. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to remove the fender, and once I've done that, I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so now the front wheel is off and the front fender is off. All right, it leaves us clear then to start removing the front forks. So we're going to go to behind the back wing fairing, and I'm going to take off the little piece underneath next to the ignition, and I'm going to take these off and start the actual removal of the springs and whatnot with inside. Okay, so now that's done, what we want to do is just loosen these off. All right, your indicator, your flashes, indicators, whatever you want to call them, just loosen the bolts off, okay, because you're going to need to get to these ones above them, okay, which is on one of each side of this plastic cover, which is exactly what we want to take off right now. All right, and to do so, just loosen them off. You don't have to go to town, just enough so you can get this out. So yeah, I mean, the next thing you want to do is get a 532 socket head, and this is what you want to take out, this little bolt up here, and the same on the other side, and then just this whole unit should just come off. And again, they won't be very tight at all. Just be careful when you take these off, okay, because there is a little washer on there, so you don't want to lose that. All right, so take this one off and take the other side off, and then you should, in theory, be able to get this cover off to get to the fork nuts underneath. So like I said, behind there you'll have two connections, okay. They're just, again, like your normal ones. You just push like so, and the same on the other side, in theory, he says, with big gleeful eyeballs. Where are you? There we go, like so, and then this just pulls off, and then again, put that somewhere safe, give it a clean, etc. But these are the two that you need to take off from the back, one there and one there. Okay, so now you can see why we need to take the tank off and that cover. All right, at the top of your fork there is this bolt right here, all right, which is basically securing the fork in place, and obviously there's these two down here, all right, by your brake line. Okay, so again, when you're undoing this, be very careful. You do not want to snap your brake line, which is right there. Okay, so just give yourself a little bit of room, get yourself a little extension like I have with the socket on, and this socket is 1/4 inch, okay, which is going to be here, and these two here. All right, so I am basically, what I'm going to do is, before I do anything, all right, just make sure you have a little look at the notch on top there, all right, on top of the fork itself, and just memorize, or indeed take a picture of where this is sitting. Okay, you can see I'm going to measure that actually just to be on the safe side, so I know when I'm putting it back in kind of roughly where we're at. So we go from there, so we're about 5mm basically. But I am going to take a picture just because obviously on the top there is a notch, okay, so you want it to be exactly when you take these forks out, you want to put it back to exactly where it was in theory, to give you that exact from previous. So I'm going to take a picture of this just to memorize exactly where this was. Then I'm going to undo this nut here, loosen that completely, and then I'm going to take the two nuts down here, I'm going to loosen those and obviously hold the weight of the fork at the same time. So again, this is why you take this off, because you can now see the nuts inside there, the top of the springs, all right, which you're going to be taking off very shortly. So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to take this one, break it off like that, just loosen it off. You don't need to take it all the way out if you don't want to, but I mean, I'm just going to, that's loose enough, as you can see. So I'm happy with that. Then I'm going to move my way around to the front, And again, I'm going to just turn the handlebars like so, put my foot or knee on the actual fork itself, and just to give it a bit so she's locked in that direction. And again, I'm going to loosen these off, top and bottom, again being very careful with your brake line. Okay, so I've undone the 3 bolts up there, and in theory now this should just drop out like so. All right, there is your first fork out. Okay, now the good thing about this, you can inspect the seal and whatnot inside, and if you do have the appropriate kit to punch the seal back into, then you can obviously, I bought the full kit to do everything, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but obviously at this point you can inspect your seals, make sure everything's good and the seal is actually in there. Okay, this is where you're going to get your leaks from, in there, if the seal is bust. But yeah, I mean, you can give it a good look around, give it a clean, make sure there's no cracks, no dents, no scoring or anything like that, and then do the same with the other fork. But I'm not going to do that right now, because what I am going to do is I'm going to put this into the vise, and I am going to take off the nut cap at the top there, release the pressure, and obviously take out all the oil, etc. From this fork. So I'm going to do the right one first, and I'm going to do the same with the left. All right, so I'll be honest with you, from me finishing the last video frame to now, it's been 2 hours. Why? Because I did not have 2 tools. All right, I thought I had them, but I didn't. One is this. It's a 19mm hex socket, if you want to call it that, for the top of the fork. Now, for some people, you would need, hang on, let me grab it. Some people, you would need this kind of tool. Let me take it out so you can see, like that. That's what I thought I needed to begin with. All right, I didn't. So once I got it off, I thought, oh, no worries, 19mm hex head, I've got one of them in the cupboard. No, so I had to go out and buy one for there, all right, take the cap off the top of the fork. The fork is now in the vise, by the way. And the other one, which I had to go out and buy, was this, all right, it's a deep 12mm socket, all right, sort of hex head again. The reason why, I'll show you when we get to it, but yeah, that's why I'm now drinking beer, because for the last 2 hours I've been in and out of the house looking for my tools, and then having to drive to different vendors to try and get these bits and bobs in a little small town that I live in. Is quite difficult, but I got them in the end. So anyway, man, all right, so moving on, 19mm hex head socket onto the cap there, all right, above on your fork. Wow, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. So obviously what we want to do now is, all right, we want to take the tension out of this, because bearing in mind there is a spring in there. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to loosen it off, but be aware, guys, be aware that you're going to get to a certain point and this is going to pop off, and if you don't have enough pressure on there, all right, this is going to take your head off, or it's going to end up sticking through your garage wall. All right, so just be careful when you're doing this. Now you just got to break it off like so. All right, make sure your vise has got a decent grip. Now you can buy tools for this, specifically for the actual keeping the fork in the vise properly. All right, so just be aware and watch. Okay. Like that. All right, she's gonna pop like that. Okay, so you got to be very careful. Make sure you keep hold of this. All right, your cap, your fork cap, and you can see it. All right, we're going to be changing this seal out, so keep hold. Obviously, you're going to need it again. And there you go. Inside there is all your fork oil. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this off the vise, and we're going to pour it in, pour the oil, and you'll see the spring come out and a few other bits and bobs. And we're going to pour the oil into a pan so it's captured. And you'll pour it in. Oh, hell yeah. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to let it run dry for approximately 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes, let all the oil, all of that manky, horrible oil come out and get into the pan. Okay, so while that's draining, obviously I'll put it down there. She's still draining out. What I want to do is, if you look in here, and this is the other part I was talking about, okay, I don't know if you can see that, but in there, right at the very bottom, there is a 12mm bolt. You can just see it there. So the problem I had is I didn't have a socket deep enough to go to that. So I had to go out and I had to buy a deep socket so she fits. Look, see, now she fits in there. Now she fits. All right, and I can get that in there and take that out. And what that does is that bolt that's in the air goes straight into the dampener, which is inside of your shock itself. All right, so that's I'm gonna loosen that off. It's gonna come out, and hopefully it's gonna drop into there. Or when I get close to the edge, I'm just gonna grab it and make sure she doesn't fall into the pan and get oil everywhere. If you've got a body to help you do this, then obviously, you know, it certainly is easier. Oh, Jesus, there we go, cracked. So I can loosen that off now. I could probably use my, there we go. That's going to come out. Eventually, it will drop out, okay, into my hand. You'll see the damp like so, and then more springs. A couple of, you got the bottom spring there, and there's the dampener right there. So we're just gonna, again, we're gonna let that drain out, clean off the dampener, and this is what I was talking about before, the white spring that's on top there. We're gonna take that, replace it. So yeah, we're gonna just leave it, let it dry, let it dampen off, clean it off, get rid of all the oil, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, just to show you the difference, the actual difference between what we're taking out, which is this one, and what we're putting in, which is this one, okay? With this is the RickRak Pro Action Performance Shock dampener, all right? Now, as you can see straight away, all right, you've got a bigger hole. You've got two bigger holes. The bigger holes are bigger to allow more oil, all right? Oil movement, and obviously within these channels as well, you'll see the channels there. That's again to allow more oil movement to help with the dampening of the spring. All right, it certainly will help with the movement and whatnot. So that's your stock one right there, and that's the new one that's going in. Okay, so once we have completely drained all the oil, all right, and this is the exact same steps for the second fork. All right, I'm not going to take you through doing both. Okay. Follow these steps for the exact same on the other fork, all right? So your new performance dampener, all right, from RickRak and Pro Action, the mini spring, let's call it that came out with the original one, that goes back onto the spring itself, all right? Doesn't matter which way it goes. And obviously make sure you put that washer on, and then all you do is you fire that back in. Obviously put the spring in, as you see in the dampener, then the spring. Okay, then I put the bolt into there, all right, which is a new one. And I use a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolt, okay, to put that into the dampener. That screws into the dampener from the inside. So next thing you want to do is you want to torque that bolt down, which is 30 to 37 foot-pounds, all right. I've gone for 35, give or take. All right, and then we want to just tighten her up till she clicks. Okay, so now that the bolt and the dampener are secured, all right, we've blue Loctited it, tighten it up to 30 to 37 foot-pounds. All right, the next thing you want to do is you want to put your spring back in, which I already have done. I put my spring in. We want to set the preload, all right, with your preload spaces. Okay, so what you want to do, spring's gone in, dampener secure, preload tube in, okay, like so. But you want to extend this completely the whole way, all right? So once you put that in, extend it out completely, all right? And I've done this off camera, all right, because I only have one set of hands and it's pretty tough to do, all right? What you want with this 49mm setup, all right, is you want a ½ inch between the top of the fork and the gap there is where you want to mark ½ inch on your tubing, all right? And then you want to cut that tubing at ½ inch, okay, at your mark that you've put. directly across. Okay, try and get that as straight and level when you cut it as you possibly can. All right, but bear in mind your spring has to be completely extended for this to set the preload. Now I've just got a little hacksaw, so all I'm going to do is start cutting on my mark, keeping it as level as I possibly can. Alright, so now we've done that, we've got the proper spacer cut correctly. Alright, within your pack, alright, you get this washer. Okay, make sure that your spring's in, you put your washer on top like so, make sure it's seated properly, and then we put our spacer in like so. Okay, and then we extend. We should have 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to check that. Boom, bang on. All right, so what we want to do now, we've used the spring to push the dampener down so we can tighten it up. Take the spring out like so. All right, take your spring out, and then according to the Pro Action instructions, we have to do the following. So it says install a billet Pro Action dampener into the forks and tighten bolt, which we just did. Fill the forks about halfway with the 20-watt fork oil and work into the forks and rods by pumping the tubes up and down. So I'm going to put some fork oil in. All right, I've gone for the Screaming Eagle heavy fork oil performance, and it is 20 watt. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill this halfway with this and then work it into the forks. So about halfway. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's about halfway, I'd say so. Bubbles coming out, good. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to work this through now. 5 or 6, nice and gentle. Up and down. You can hear that. Now obviously this looks a bit weird. You want to get rid of all. Yes, I am aware of what this looks like. Just want to make sure there's no air bubbles coming back up, which there is a little bit. I'll do that one more time. Extend it fully, and then all the way back down. Cool, and there's no bubbles in there now. The next exercise is with the forks collapsed and no springs. All right, set the oil level. Airspace, recommended airspace for this one is 115 millimeters. Right, so what that means is basically we want to put a space in between the top of the forks to the oil level of 115 millimeter. 115 millimeter gap. And again, 20 watt oil. All right, make sure it's 20 watt. Put that in there. So that's one full of those. All right, at this point, I'm going to get my measuring stick, whatever the hell it is, right there, and 115 millimeter. So there's 110, 115. So let's have a look. So I want it to there. 115. So I've got a fair distance to go. I just want to check that with the torch. Oh yeah, I've got a fair distance to go. Now, normally, if you've got a fork oil setter, then you know you'd put the maximum amount in that it tells you to, and then suck out what you need. But I don't have that, so I'm doing it the old school way. Mark 1 eyeball. All right, so I've put one of those in. I need to put some more in, so open up another one. I'm going to make sure that we get to that 115, like it says on that instruction manual right there. I've heard different ones say 95, 90, but I want to set it as per what it tells me in the instructions. So put more in. Oh, getting close. 5 more mil. Bang on, 115. Okay, so that's it done. 115 millimeters from the oil, which is around about here, to the top of the actual fork. Now at this point we can drop our brand new spring in, which like so, nice and easy. Don't drop it in too fast because you know you may get some splashback from the oil. All right, then our spacer as well. We want to get that spacer first. Of all though, we want to put our washer in, our brand new washer, which is this one, which comes with a kit. Put the washer on top of the spring, drop it in, make sure she sits properly, which it is now. And then we put our spacer in. Job's a good one. And there it is there. And what we want to do now is we want to put it back into the vise or the clamp, all right? Because we're going to then, we're going to now extend the fork completely out and then put the fork cap back on. All right, so at this point, I've enlisted Mini Me over here to help me with this because this technically would be a 2-man job. All right, where's my 19 mil? There it is right there. So at this point, you want this to stay where it is, okay? So that's why easier with the gloves on, holding it, pushing it up, because now we're going to push this down to put the cap back on. Now within the kit, all right, there's another seal that you can use, a rubber seal, all right? Make sure you just get a bit of oil from either there or there. Just put some oil on it, all right? Just make sure things are tight. Your 19 mil socket on top, and what you want to do with this is you're going to be pushing this down to start screwing it in, okay? So it's going to be an absolute nightmare, but we're going to try and give it a go. You ready?
No.
Well, you're going to have to be. You ready? We got it. Come here, pal. Need you to hold it.
What?
Woo! Yeah, just hold it. Wow. So yeah, that is quite tough to get that. But once you've got it, you're golden.
What is this?
You're laughing. This is the copy, boy. All right, so there you have it. All right, that is the cap on, completely on. All right, with the 19 mil. And all I'm going to do now is give these a little bit of a clean. I can't find a torque setting for that, so if there is, please forgive me. Somebody write it down below. I've even looked in the tech manual. I can't see anything. They're just really tight. Okay, I've tightened them super tight, and I'm just going to give these a good clean now. Make sure I get rid of all the rubbish, all the oil and whatnot. So you know there isn't anything on the outside, especially oil, because you don't want to you know, look at these and think, oh shit, they're now leaking. I didn't change the fork seals down there because again the mileage on the bike is not that high, so I'm happy to leave them in. Ordinarily, if you're above, I think it's 30,000 or 50,000, I think it is, one of the two, you would change those out. And I would recommend, if you do have a fork seal tool to put it back in. I don't. That's another part of the reason why I didn't do it. But if you do have a fork seal, then do it while you've got it all out. Okay, it's easy enough. It really is. But I don't have a fork seal tool, so I'm not going to do it. So there we go. So that is how to do your fork, all right, or your forks with the new RickRak Performance Shocks by ProAction. All right, that's easy enough. I've got to do the other side now. Okay, so just follow the exact same steps as what I did for that one, for the other one, and I'll show you guys the finished product when we're done. In we go with the first fork. All right, make sure it is the correct side that you are putting back in, and I know this one is. So remember about the bevel, all right? When we took them out, we took a picture of where they sat at the time, and obviously when you're going back in, you can kind of see where it was clamped previously. So I'm going to use that as a bit of a guide. So nice and straight, in we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the top bolt to secure this in first, and then secure the other two from there, and then we're going to torque them down, which is, I believe, between 14 and 18 foot-pounds. You can, don't worry. Okay, let go. That's it, let go, lad. Okay, and like I said, these two, obviously the pinch bolts down here, make sure they're good, and then you've got the one up the top here. So once you're happy with the state of your forks, all right, you want to torque them down to 14 to 18 foot-pounds. I am going for, what have I got, just around about 16, 17. There's that one. good. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the other fork in now. I'm pretty happy where that is, okay? Again, with the notches out at the top, just refer to your service manual for that one, where you want to keep it. And then I'm going to use the top bolt up there, just pinch it down, so it's nice and tight, and then I can work on the other bolts from there. So now that she's locked into position, I can then crack on with torque tightening the top one and the bottom bolts. Now remember when I said at the beginning of the video, just be careful you break lines when you're doing this. And obviously don't scratch any of your paint. Yeah, I'm pretty happy where they are, to be honest. Looks good. And again, torqued down to 14 to 18 foot-pounds. Now remember, because there's two bolts down here, all right, you will need to do it a few times, because obviously once you tighten one up, the other one will become a little bit looser. So just once you're happy, yeah, she's good on that one, and she's now good on that one. And then again, check your top one for final check. Boom, job's a good one, and your forks are back on. Alright, so the next thing you want to do, obviously now your forks are nice and secure, just in reverse order as we did the first time round. Alright, we just want to literally put the fender back on. Alright, we'll just I'm going to give it a clean beforehand, because obviously while it's off, get to the bits I can't normally get to, give it a good clean. Anyway, I'm going to put this fender back on. I'm not going to bore you with that. You guys know how, if you are literally doing a fork job and you don't know how to put a fender back on, you shouldn't be watching this video. But stick the fender back on, and then we're going to put the wheel back together. I am going to show you how to, what grease I'm going to use, and basically put grease, anti-seize grease and rotation grease onto the shaft for the wheel. And then put the wheel back on, correct spaces, bits and bobs in the correct places, torque everything down, put the brakes back on. Happy days. Alright, so front end is more or less back on. Fenders on. I've left it loose for now with wraparound fenders. If you didn't know, they've got a little bit of play in them. So I want to make sure when I put the wheel back on, it is sitting where it should sit. So before I do that, obviously I am going to grease my shaft. Alright, this is a shaft that goes in. I'll give it a clean, and I'm basically using some graphite grease, anti-seize grease, basically to go on to the shaft. All right, you don't need to go mental, because when you put this through, all right, when you put it through, why is that going like that? Yeah, you don't need to go mental, because when you push this through, obviously with the hole, it will push some of the grease this way, but just give it a nice thin layer, right, all the way up and down, and then just rub it in like that. Like I said, you don't need to go berserk with this. All right, just a nice little thin layer like that, right the way up, all the way around. Make sure you're covering all of the shaft. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the wheel back on, and as always with the wheel, make sure you put it in the right way. All right, have a look at your tyre. There is arrows on your tyre that face forward. Okay, so that's the way that you want your tyre to be rotating forward, obviously. So make sure when you put it on, I'll show you those right now when we put this on. But yeah, make sure every time you're putting that back on, your wheel is facing the correct way, and obviously spacers and the speedometer needs to go on properly as well. So let's put the wheel on. Okay, there you can see the arrow, all right, facing forward. Yeah, so the rotation you want it to go, which is obviously forward, yeah. So the arrow tells you there. Make sure you put it on the right way, okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to put the spacers back on, put the shaft in, lift it up, put the shaft in, make sure everything is tickety-boo. All right, so time to put the wheel back on, okay. Like I said before about the right-hand side spacer, okay, let me see if I can show you guys this. But as you can see right there, hopefully it starts to There we go. So you can see the little grooves that run on the right hand side of that. Okay. When I took the wheel off, like you seen at the beginning of the video, they were facing inwards towards the bike. Okay, they have to be facing outwards. Why? Not sure, but they do. All right. So just make sure that when you put that back on, they're facing outwards towards the outer of the bike. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do is we are going to get our shaft. All right, that's nicely greased. Then we're gonna come over to the bike. We're going to lift, make sure we can lift it up, and then I'm going to use my foot, the bottom, to hold it in place. Okay, so this is going to go in from the left this way. All right, so the spacer, where the hell I put it? Is there? Come here. If you can, technically, if you've got another person to help you, be a good idea. However, what you want to do, place it through. Put your spacer again facing outwards, away from the bike, right? And then just adjust like that, and you put it in like so, and then just pull it back a slight midge. All right, she's in there, but what you want to do, get your speedo, put your speedo into said gap, right? Like that, and then just wiggle the wheel until she goes through, like that. All right, now I'm going to grab the camera. I'm going to show you which way the speedo sensor goes in, and obviously I've talked about those grooves on the left hand side spacer, so I'm going to show you that now. Okay, that's how the speedo goes on, right? Your ABS and whatnot sensor goes on like so, right, with the black part facing bang onto the wheel, flush with the wheel, and then your spacer goes like that. Right, easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the pinch bolt in here. I'm going to tighten this down very shortly. Before that, I'm going to put the washer and the nut on there. Okay, your washer goes on first, like so, and then your nut goes on to there. All right, and then we just want to tighten that up, and that will bring the shaft to where it needs to be, and then we can put the pinch bolt on the other side. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so now we're gonna tighten up the pinch bolt. All right, this basically pinches your axle together. So when you want to start tightening up the actual axle itself with the nut on the other side, if you do that now without tightening this up, this is just going to spin and you're not going to tighten anything up. So this is why you have to do this, and it is, you want to be torquing this down between 18 and 24 foot-pounds. All right, so I've got my torque wrench set to 20. Okay, so again, this is a 6mm Allen, and you just get it in and torque it down like so. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Easy. And that is your pinch bolt secured, and obviously pinches together to secure this. Now this will not be able to move when I do the actual nut on the wheel itself. Okay, for the front wheel, obviously you've got your 24mm socket, and obviously you want to put this or secure this down to 70 to 75 foot-pounds. All right, it's pretty tight, as you don't want your front wheel coming off, let's be honest. There we go. Just give it a quick check. Happy days. I went for 74 foot-pounds on the torque wrench. $10mm. Again, if you've got a socket with tons of teeth on, great, fantastic. I don't have one, so I'm using this. And again, just make sure your top one is lined up where it should be. But yeah, brakes are good. Front this side is good anyway. And again, just be careful of your brake. And then all you want to do is just quickly run it. You can hear it rubbing slightly. Good. As soon as we start braking, that'll fix itself. We don't have any rubbing or any grinding or anything like that, which is good, which means she's on straight and level. Happy days. And then obviously you're going to tighten these down. FT, all right. Just do them really tight, okay? Don't snap them off clearly, but just do them as tight as you can. One thing I did forget to mention, which just popped into my head right now, is if you've got the covers like I have for your thingy there, for your bolts and whatnot, then this is the time to put them on. So get them on both sides, done, and then we're going to work our way putting the tank back on. All right, so next thing you want to do is you want to put your cover back on onto here. All right, so just like we did before, all right, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You want to get that under there. You want to connect your connectors back in as much as you can, like that, and like that, clicks in, and then we put this back underneath like that. Make sure she goes, oh, we don't want that in there. Make sure she's running properly. What I am going to do while I'm here, I'm going to run my charging cable through there, actually. Yeah, through there. Hopefully that will work. Yep, there we go. And then I can run that up and in to the bike. Perfect. And then all you do is you put your 2 screws back into the sides, which we'll do now, and then tighten up your indicator or your side lights. Easy peasy. Nice and easy. All right, make sure everything's out of the way. And obviously you want to get it back where you want it. Perfect for me, that, I like it. And then what we're going to do is we'll secure it back down to where she was, front first, then we'll do the back ones. Okay, so don't forget in here, all right, this is where your bolts are, one there, one the other side. These are the ones that you should line up first when you put the tank back on, because they don't really, there's not much play in them, whereas there is potentially a little bit of movement on the back ones where the notches are a little bit longer. So again, this is a 1/2 inch, all right, 1/2 inch bolt. Stick it in, get your bloody thing out of the way. Perfect. And I'd do the same on the other side. First thing you want to do is obviously put this back in, your little plastic thing, and shove that under, like somehow, like that. There you go, little plastic thing in there. Jobs are good. And then we want to connect these again. That's back in. Happy days. We want to then connect this back up. Check. And obviously just run your wires under there like so. Okay. And tighten them down. So there you go, guys. The bike is back together, as you can see. Was that a difficult or an easy job? I would say medium, if I'm honest. Time consuming, yes, only because I had to go out and buy some tools that I assumed I had, that I didn't. Why didn't I change the fork seals and whatnot? Well, like I said, the bike's not got that many miles on it, so, or K's, so I decided, I opted to leave them alone, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of scenario. So yes, the next time I do the forks, you know, in whatever, 20,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever it's going to be, next time I change the oil out or do the servicing on the forks, yes, I will change out the seals completely. So yeah, the next step is to try it out on the road. Luckily enough, I'm going for a ride tomorrow with the boys, so I can figure this out and find out, you know, if it actually has made a difference, which I'm hoping it will, and which I know it will, to be honest. You know, you can put performance springs and dampeners on your bike and not see a difference. So I'm hoping I've got it right. I'm hoping I've got the levels right and whatnot in there. I've followed the book, I followed the instructions from RickRak and Pro Action, so everything should in theory be good, but we'll find out tomorrow. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I was very apprehensive about doing this job myself, but you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I'm happy days. But yeah, there they are. You know, you can get yourself over to RickRak.com and grab yourself a set of these performance shocks, and obviously if you use my code, my link down below, you will get 10% off not only these but anything in the store using my code down below, which I'll leave a link to down there right now. So just to tell you a little bit about these, and you know, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, why Stevie, why haven't you gone for a full suite of shocks and absorbers and all that sort of stuff for the front end? Well, I'll tell you why. One, because these things do a fantastic job, and what I will do is actually I'll leave a link up here right now to the Pro Action video about these, because you know, these are under $350, guys. You can have a performance front end on your bike for under $350, right? That's what a big thing for me. Okay, it's $375 actually, $375. And it fits they fit most 41mm to 49mm forks on Harley-Davidson touring bikes from 2006 to 2023. All right, the kit includes, as you've seen, the damper rods, the heavy springs and spring spacers. The kits will fit other HD applications as well. And obviously on the website there it says 41mm fits 06 to 16 HD touring bikes, 49mm 17 and up HD touring bikes, and it actually lowers my front end by ½ inch. So that's going to once I drop it off the lift, it's going to be interesting to see. And the 49L fits 17 and up HD touring bikes at standard height. All right, so these are they're going to drop down by ½ inch, which is good. So just so basically from RickRak, and like I said, RickRak and Pro Action have got together to produce this performance spring kit. All right, and like it says on the website, we have designed and machined new damper rods out of billet steel. The new rods have completely different flow characteristics than the standard rods. We have replaced the stock spring rates with springs in many cases nearly twice the standard rate. All right, which is going to be brilliant. The oil level and weight of the oil rips high speeds, turns with confidence, but yet in all the areas there is so much softer and smoother feel on the stock. All right, so the finished product is a fork that doesn't sag, basically. Greatly resistant bottoming out, and like it says there, rips through the turns and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, low speed, mid-range and high speed bump reaction is nothing short of amazing. Well, apparently, according to the website, we have created a system where the damper rod springs and spring preload, oil level and oil weight have come together to provide a front end that does it all for $375. You can't get better than that. All right, if you are on a budget and you know you don't have 15, 16, $2,000 to spend on a front end, then this right here is a budget option for you guys, which is, you know, is going to be better than your stock Harley-Davidson mods. That's for sure. Your stock Harley-Davidson springs, that's for sure. So yeah, like I said, that's what it says on the website. Get over to RickRak. I will leave the description to these and the link if you just click on that link, it will take you through my affiliate link direct to RickRak, so you can grab yourself 10% off the $375. All right, that doesn't include shipping. Obviously, you got to pay for shipping. You know, nothing's free in this world. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out on the road now with these tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna add a little ending to this tomorrow. I'll do a little bit of filming just to let you guys know the difference. I can feel the difference hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, I am happy. RickRak, the legends at RickRak have outdone themselves once again, guys, with these RickRak performance shocks by Pro Action. So see you on the road.
6 months later.
So the day after I fitted the RickRak performance shocks by Pro Action, that's me just returned from a 450-kilometer ride. So I thought I'd stop quickly and give you guys my thoughts on the suspension on the front end. And I'll be honest with you, I am extremely happy with it, and I'm not just saying that. Obviously, you know, I haven't had the stock front end on now since I bought the bike. The difference is night and day. You know, the ride is a hell of a lot smoother. There is no sort of brake lunge anymore, you know, when you get with the front stock.
suspension, all right, when you put your brake on, it kind of dips down at the front. There's none of that anymore. It's dead smooth, all right, and you know, the bike handles unbelievably well now, which is, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. But at slow speeds, you know, corners and whatnot, she's handling really well. And at actual, you know, higher speeds, again, she's handling like a dream. So I am extremely happy with the RickRak performance shocks by ProAction. I really am. I mean, the bike is looking amazing. She's yeah, she's sitting well. The front end's sitting well. She's sounding phenomenal. And I just, yeah. So if you are after a set of these guys, all right, I do feel like I've been riding on a bike that's got a 1,500 to 2 grand front end put in on it, but it hasn't. Don't forget, these things cost less than 400 bucks. All right, so get yourselves over to RickRak. Again, you can get 10% off these bad boys using my link, which I will leave down below in the description. All right, make sure you go check it out and click on that link, and it will take you directly to the store. And don't forget, not just the 10% off those, you can get 10% off anything in the store, all right? And I get a little kickback for being an affiliate, which is great. So, but yeah, I mean, 450 kilometers, so I've given it a good run today, and yeah, I couldn't be more happy with the suspension. So anyway, that's I hope you enjoyed the video, the install video, and obviously my little thoughts on it there after doing 450 Ks today. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And like it says down there right now, remember to subscribe if you aren't. It just helps the channel grow. But yeah, there she is. She's done. She's finally finished. The last thing on the upgrades list was the shocks on the front. They're done. I'm more than happy. But look at that beauty. Absolute machine. Anyway, take care wherever you are around the world. Stay safe, and remember, you'll never walk alone.